My name is Susan Gourvenec and I'm a Professor of Offshore Geotechnical Engineering in the Faculty of Engineering and Physical Sciences at the University of Southampton and one of the Deputy Directors of the Southampton Marine and Maritime Institute. And I hold a Royal Academy of Engineering Chair in Emerging Technologies for Intelligent and Resilient Ocean Engineering. And my research addresses technology gaps along the engineered life cycle of ocean infrastructure, so for example offshore wind turbines, from new ways of characterising the seabed to derive the parameters needed for engineering design, through developing new mooring and anchoring systems to hold infrastructure in place in the oceans, and new sensing and monitoring and living design techniques for assessing infrastructure throughout its design life and at the end of its engineered life. My research particularly focuses on increasing the efficiency of engineering processes and design to enable the upscaling of offshore infrastructure for renewable energy generation to meet the targets we have for decarbonisation, but also to better understand the impacts of our interventions in the ocean so we can make informed decisions going forward with ocean engineering. So my engagement with policymakers ranges from responding to calls for evidence or from government inquiries and consultations, to taking part in events and roundtables with government agencies and other policy makers, or developing relationships with policymakers or government agencies to get involved in research projects. In terms of responding to calls for evidence, I have responded to a consultation from the Department of Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy, or BEIS, on the potential for marine energy projects in Great Britain, and also to the Environmental Audit Committee on technological innovations for climate change for offshore wind. And in both these cases, I focused on the role of emerging technologies in providing those efficiencies in engineering design and processes to provide the necessary cost reductions, to upscale offshore renewables, to provide the necessary renewable energy generation, to have a meaningful impact on carbon emissions, but also the use of emerging technologies for us to better understand the impact of our interventions in the ocean to help us make the right and better decisions in the future going forward. So in terms of participating in events and roundtables, for example, I took part in a panel discussion and debate organised by the Foundation for Science and Technology on the pathway for innovation in implementing the government's maritime strategy. And the Department for Transport Director of Maritime was also on the panel, along with a couple of business leaders in the sector. And the audience comprised a range of policymakers and policy influencers from Parliament and from government agencies, from business, from NGOs and from the research community. More locally, I have participated in roundtables with the Southampton City Council and local leaders to develop an action plan to shape Southampton's international marine role. And in terms of developing relationships with policymakers for research, I have developed these on multiple scales, from bilateral arrangements with individual stakeholders to address specific challenges, through to multilateral, multidisciplinary and cross-sector consortia, such as through the Trustworthy Autonomous Systems Hub, which is led by the University of Southampton. So working in offshore engineering and renewables, there are multiple opportunities for policy engagement and impact. Particularly my research supports the evidence base that will go to underpin those policies that will shape our future interactions and developments in the oceans for renewable offshore energy generation. So for offshore engineering processes and design methods to be easily taken up by operators and those involved in ocean engineering, they need to be encapsulated into international standards. And so raising awareness around the research that is coming out and the importance to society and the economy and the environment is really an important step in embedding those processes and design methods into the international standards so that they can be used for engineering design. So Public Policy Southampton has particularly supported my research by bringing opportunities to my attention that are relevant to my research, such as the inquiries or the consultations to submit evidence to, or workshops and events taking place around particular strategies, for example. Public Policy Southampton have also been very supportive in building and nurturing relationships with policymakers and policy influencers in order to get involved in research projects. So if you're thinking of getting involved in policy impact or want to, then just get in touch with Public Policy Southampton. They have a range of experts who can help you in all manner of things. And you can start off with something simple and quite low risk by providing written evidence to an inquiry. So there's the opportunity to shape this with the support of the public policy team before you submit it. And then you can build up to more immediate and extensive interactions with when your confidence grows, such as taking part in panel discussions where, of course, it's an immediate dialogue with the policymakers or the policy influencers. And if you are very experienced with policy engagement, then also get in touch with Public Policy Southampton, because they can use your expertise to share with other researchers across the university, and also to amplify and highlight your own policy impact.